Welcome back to It's Cook Time. Today we are making some seafood chowder. So first things first, you want to melt butter into a large pot. So let's get ahead and start on that. So it is 2 tablespoons of butter or margarine as I use, and you want to melt it all up. Okay, now that the margarine is now melted down, you want to add your onions and celery. So now we want to add in the onions, and you only want to add in 3/4 of your onion and leave the rest for your poaching liquid. So let's add that in. Okay, and now we're going to cook that until it is tender. And cooking the onions will take about 8 to 10 minutes. And you will want to cook it over medium heat. Okay, now that the onions are finally soft, now it's time to add in the celery, and we'll cook that for about 8 to 10 minutes, and then we'll add in the potatoes and pour in some water and wait till those potatoes are tender. Okay, so while we're still stirring and watching the celery and onions, we'll start on our poaching. So what you need to start with is 4 cups of water, and we're supposed to bring it to a boil. Well, just before boiling, that is. So let's pour in the 4 cups of water, and then 2 bay leaves, just for flavor. While you're boiling with your bay leaves, don't forget to add in the 1/4 cup of onions. Okay, now that the celery and onions are cooked, now you want to add in 4 cups of potatoes. Mix this just a little bit around. And now you want to get enough water just to cover the vegetables. And pour it over top and cook until the potatoes are tender. Okay, now that the water is at just before boiling, you want to add in 2/3 of a pound of fish of your choice, and then 2/3 of a pound of shrimp, scallops, or lobster, anything you want. Okay, now that the shrimp, scallops, lobster, fish are ready, now you gotta scoop and drain to just leave the broth left over, and as much as possible try to discard the onion and bay leaves. Okay, now that we're finally put the seafood to the side, we can finally get on to making our soup. So first things first, you need 1/4 cup of butter, and you want to melt that in the saucepan. Okay, now that the margarine is melted, you want to add in 1/2 cup of flour and stir that in until there's a smooth paste. Okay, now that the margarine and flour is a smooth paste, you gradually, slowly pour in the stock. So I apologize for the steaminess of it, but it should look like this or a little bit thicker. So if yours is still kind of thin, don't be afraid to add in a little bit of flour to make it the thick texture as you desire. Make sure you keep on stirring until it gets thick. Okay, now that it has begun to thicken the broth, you want to add it in with the potatoes and turn that up to medium heat. So it should look like that. It's pretty steamy, but mix that in, and then you'll add in your fish with that and stir that in. And soon after, you'll add in your cream after it begins to thicken. Now that the soup has thickened up a little bit, you want to add in your cream and make sure you do not bring it to a boil. Just stir it for a little bit longer till it's a little bit more thicker. Okay, so I added in the seasoning. Just need to stir a little bit, and then I believe I have the thickness I want. And make sure, if you're not getting the exact thickness you want, make sure to add in a little bit of flour, so then, because that will always take up the space. Okay, now after all that work is done, I added in some corn and peas and some carrots just to add a little bit more taste, and for definitely extra flavor, I would definitely recommend to add a bit more different seasonings to give it more of a taste. So now, let's taste the chowder. It's good for my first time ever making chowder, I personally think. I recommend trying making this, but hey, who knows, maybe it's a new fan favorite. And next time on It's Cook Time.